The damage, Darren Elkins comes through for us last week as he goes out there and grinds out Daniel Pineda into retirement pretty much. But that was as classic of the Darren Elkins performance as you can find. I was hoping that he was going to get the late finish, but I'll still take up the straight up victory. He ends up closing as a slight favorite, so another perk in terms of dropping into the MMA LOTN Patreon page where you'll be able to get some of these lines a little bit earlier so that you can lock in much better lines than later on in the week where the sharps end up getting on some of these spots, and most of the sharps were all over Darren Elkins in this spot. We go 2-2 over the weekend on Dog of the Night plays. That covers the regional cards as well as the PFL event that I covered as well. So like I said, we go 2-2 for slight profit there, but that now brings our yearly record to 43-74 for a minus 9.23 unit deficit and a minus 8% ROI. Again, I say it every segment just to remind you guys, it was a horrible start to the year. I think we were down minus 25 or minus 26 units on our Dog of the Night play, but I have slowly chipped our way back into the black here over the last couple of months and hope to keep it up, that we can at least end in the black completely, break even, or even profit slightly by the ending of the year. No chasing. We're going to stay the course and trust our reads and look to cash some of these underdog tickets. Let's see if we can cash this weekend's UFC 308 Dog of the Night, which, again, I'll be dropping 3 candidates for you guys in this video. Doesn't mean I'll be playing every single one of them, but at least one of them will be given the Dog of the Night moniker. Let's see if we can cash that ticket. All right, let's get right into it. First candidate up is going to be Armen Petrosian, coming in at plus 130 as he takes on the Pirate Shara Magomedov, who has been nothing but flawless since coming into the UFC. But this in Petrosian as his opponent will be the toughest test of his MMA career, as he's fighting a disciplined and more technical striker than him, and a guy that's not going to be completely ruffled by the style of Magomedov, especially with how unorthodox and flashy he can be with his strikes. I think we'll see Petrosian do exactly what he did to Christian Leroy Duncan, landing straight shots down the pipe, maybe incorporating a little bit of grappling and some clinch work as well. But I think that Petrosian can land with just as much thud and power and significance as Magomedov did, which is the issue that Oleg Shajak ran into last time around, is that he just couldn't get the respect of Magomedov and was not able to land with enough power. Again, I'm not saying Petrosian is going to knock out Magomedov, but I do think he can land clean enough shots that's going to cause Magomedov some trouble here. And then again, maybe mixing in some grappling to make it look even more clear in his favor, giving Petrosian as the first Dog of the Night candidate. The second Dog of the Night candidate is going to be Robert the Reaper Whittaker, coming in at plus 225. I know a lot of people love themselves some Khamzat Chimaev, but the man just has not looked as dominant as he did when he first came into the UFC. Now, this is going to be his toughest test today, considering the fact that this is going to be a full training camp for Robert Whittaker, and it's going to be a 5-round fight, which clearly favors Robert Whittaker, who has had a plethora of 5-round fights throughout his middleweight career. His only losses have come to current and former champions Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, and I really think that he has a better gas tank, he has good enough defensive wrestling, and he should have the striking advantage as well. And as long as his durability holds up here, he should be able to touch up Khamzat Chimaev and maybe even finish him in deep waters in this matchup. And again, have you guys seen Chimaev this week? He does not look like himself. And one thing I do want to reiterate, if you guys remember, he retired technically from MMA after he got so sick. I don't know if it was from COVID or long COVID or something like that, but he was pretty much forced back into the MMA world. And sure, he's won some fights from that, but you have to wonder if a sickness hurt somebody so much to the point of retiring, especially with somebody who had such a bright future and career as Khamzat Chimaev. You have to wonder if it is continuously eating away at him and how that's going to affect him against higher levels of competition, especially when he's going to be forced to dig deep to try to pull out some of these wins. And this is a matchup, if he doesn't get the early finish, that could end up being the case as well. So yeah, Robert Whittaker plus 225 as the second Dog of the Night candidate. The third and final Dog of the Night candidate is going to be Max Holloway at plus 200. To get a guy of his caliber at this line is a must bet, in my opinion. I get it. Topuria is a beast right now, obviously undefeated. And I've been following this guy since he was 6-0, I believe, back in his Cage Warriors days. I know how good he is, but It's going to be a very tough matchup for him. If Topuria can't get him out of there early, things could get really shaky for him in championship rounds. We know Holloway's MO is all about volume, cardio, and just picking up the pace in deeper fights. And I think that's going to cause Topuria a ton of issues here. We saw him struggling for the first 6 or so minutes against Volkanovski before he was able to wrangle him against the cage and land his big strikes. But Holloway is a guy that's never been knocked out. He is a guy that's going to be very tough to put away. And if Topuria can't get him out, and his grapple-heavy approach doesn't end up working, Holloway will do a good enough job in terms of touching him up straight down the pipe and causing Topuria issues in terms of crashing the pocket and getting off on his big strikes. Look for Holloway to avoid the early damage and danger of Topuria. Touch him up, set a pace. And again, this is another angle that people are taking with that Topuria seems to have great cardio because they lean on the Josh Emmett fight. But that's a fight that he was dictating the pace the entire time. This is not a fight that he'll have the luxury in terms of dictating the pace, as Holloway is normally the one dictating paces. And I think that we'll see that really start to transition in the second and third rounds as he starts touching up Topuria, blooding up the nose, picking up the volume, and then eventually getting a TKO in the 4th or 5th round. But even just taking him straight up at plus 200 should prove to be fruitful in this matchup. Hence why Max Holloway is the third and final dog of the night candidate for UFC 308. I only go with one of these as my official dog of the night play. Drop a comment below in terms of who your dog of the night is. Take a guess at which of these 3 I actually end up going with. Or check out the MMA LOT and Patreon page where I'll have it posted, or I've actually posted it for those folks over there. And they know who I'm on and who I'm going in on. Some juicy underdogs here. Let's see if we can cash the dog of the night, maybe even a couple more on this card as well. All right, I will be back tomorrow for the quick picks version of the UFC 308 breakdowns, as well as the LFA 195 MMA Lawcast bonus episode for you guys, as it's an appetizer for the UFC 308 card going down Friday night. I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Peace.